Hey guys, what's cracking? It's Krakenation here. I'm coming at you guys today to talk about SANDACONDA. This has actually been one of the more hotly requested videos since I've been pumping out these videos for all my competitive analysis videos. So this one is the next one up on the list, and we're going to be taking a look at its competitive viability, sets you can run to have it on your competitive team, and ways you can support it to make this thing as good as possible on a competitive team of your choice. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Thanks for checking out this video, guys. If you want to support this channel, be sure to go ahead and drop a subscription, guys. It's been crazy how much we've grown recently, and if you want to be a part of that, go ahead and click that subscribe button. You can also join the Discord community in the description box below. That would also be sick. But let's go ahead and talk about this without getting too distracted. So SANDACONDA is a ground type introduced in Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's this weird looking sand thing. It's got this kind of like I guess like a life, it kind of reminds me of like a life preserver or something, like one of those weird pool floaty things around its neck, but I guess that's part of its body. For abilities, it's got Sand Spit, Shed Skin, and Sand Veil. So what Sand Spit does is a new ability introduced on SANDACONDA, and what it's going to do for you is every time SANDACONDA takes an attack, it has the ability to activate sand. So that's interesting, but it's going to be kind of hard to use, I feel like, because if you're going to use this thing on a sand team, which presumably you would be using if you're using Sand Spit, it's really hard to use it because you're going to be basically passing over initiative to your opponent for when your sand is set up. And that's going to be kind of make your sand in general a little bit less reliable, because obviously you want to be able to dictate when your sand is going up on the field so that you can dictate when you're maybe setting up your sand rush sweeping or something like that. So if your opponent has the leverage in choosing when your sand is active on the field by attacking you, they might just choose to switch, not attack, and then you don't have your sand, your extra drill is not as good, XYZ, but you get the picture. I think unfortunately Sand Spit is going to be a little hard to use if you're using it for a sand team. Shed Skin, I think, is probably your best ability. Shed Skin is not a terrific ability, but it's definitely got some competitive usage. We've seen it be successful on things like Scrafty in the past. What Shed Skin is going to do for you is allow you to have a 30% chance at the end of every turn to recover off whatever status effect you have. And that's always pretty useful. Status effects obviously are pretty important in Pokemon and go around a lot, so that can be useful. Finally, Sand Veil is the final ability, and that's basically when sand is active, you have a 25% boost to your evasion. So basically you have a 25% higher chance to dodge an attack coming your way. So let's go ahead and take a look at this thing's stats. Right away, that defense stat is going to stand out to you guys with 72 HP and 125 defense. This thing is quite physically bulky. You're going to be able to take a lot of physical attacks. 107 attack is also quite decent, definitely above average. And thanks to that, you won't be coughing up all your offensive pressure thanks to that and this thing's move pool. Now, unfortunately, obviously after that, the stats aren't as good. 72 HP and 70 special defense is not going to be very conducive to being an effective special wall, obviously, whatsoever. So this thing's going to have a vulnerability on that side. Obviously, it's an unusable special attack stat, and your speed stat is pretty mediocre. 71 is kind of in that kind of gray area where you don't really know if you want to invest in speed or not. And unfortunately, what that means is that this Pokemon's going to have to either invest in speed to be relevant with opposing offensive Pokemon, or uninvest out of speed and have a lot of stats wasted as that speed stat. So I think it's going to be something that holds it back a little bit. But overall, I think that physical defense and attack is going to be what you try to use it for. I think this thing has the chance to be a good physical kind of wall of sorts, maybe more like a physical tank, give you some options as far as hazard setting, utility moves. I think the best comparison for it would be a Pokemon like Mudsdale from the previous generation. So let's go ahead and take a look at some notable moves. Now, there aren't a ton of moves here, I realize, but a lot of these moves that are significant have very viable usage. Coil is going to be an interesting move, I think, to run this thing if you want to run a setup set. Earthquake's going to be your go-to stab move. I think Glare is actually really good on a Pokemon like this, because what Glare is going to do is allow you to inflict paralysis, so the status condition of paralysis, which is obviously a very good thing in Pokemon, on any opposing Pokemon except for electric types, which SANDACONDA already notably beats for the most part anyways. So SANDACONDA is going to really appreciate Glare, allowing you to kind of just distribute status effects on your team in the form of paralysis. Rock Slide, Stone Edge, you got some options for your rock covered group. It gets access to Stealth Rocks, is really big for this thing. It can become a pretty reliable rock setter, similar to Mudsdale again. A couple coverage moves in the form of Iron Head and Outrage. Rest is cool because Rest can synergize with Shed Skin to give you that chance for maybe some unreliable recovery where you can rest up, take a lot of damage, click Rest, and then hopefully Shed Skin away your sleep condition before you wake up, and so that way you can activate your sleep turns a little quicker. So that's going to be that. Basically, it's most of its notable moves. Let's go ahead. This is the utility Sandaconda set that I cooked up here, and I think this is going to be the most viable set for Sandaconda in competitive play. Basically, what this set does is it's going to allow you to be defensive as possible, take on maybe some physical attackers, and then also get your rocks up pretty reliably and distribute glare as necessary, without kind of giving up and coughing up all of your offensive pressure. Earthquake and Stone Edge are basically going to be, or give you that Edgequake coverage, obviously, and that's going to be pretty good for hitting everything at least neutrally. Give you some options there, so you're not, like I said, you're not coughing up all your offensive pressure when you go into your utility mod and set up rocks. For items, we're going to run Leftovers. This thing doesn't have access to recovery, so that's going to be a big problem for it. So Leftovers is going to be the best form of recovery you can get. Shed Skin or Sand Spit is going to be your options for 2 abilities. Shed Skin is good because it can give you those chances to maybe this thing gets like burned by a random ass fire move or something. That could always happen. You could also potentially pick up like a poison along the way or something, in which case Shed Skin could be useful. Otherwise, Sand Spit is also an option. What Sand Spit will do is kind of give you more whittling ability on your opponent. But keep in mind that if you are running Pokemon that are also susceptible to sandstorm damage, you're gonna need to be aware that those Pokemon will also be taking damage. So that's maybe more of an option on a sand team. That said, I think Shed Skin is gonna be your best go-to ability. The next set I have for you guys here is a Coil Set, and this is a pretty different set, but I think this set's actually a lot of fun. It reminds you of kind of things you would see on competitive Zygarde in Generation 7, for example. What this set's going to be able to do is utilize decent bulk, especially with the investment into special defense, set up its physical defense to monstrous levels with Coil and Leftovers, giving you that little bit of recovery. But then if you need more recovery, you have access to Rest plus Shed Skin. Hopefully you can wake up before the 2 turns of Sleep Turn have burned. And then you have Edgequake coverage to achieve really good neutral coverage on most Pokemon. So that's going to be really powerful overall. I think this Pokemon's got a real chance to see some competitive play as well with this set. Although I think the other set might be more useful on an average team. I think this set could be a more niche, albeit still competitively viable set. I would definitely run the HP Spadef and Spadef boosting nature because you want to because you're going to be boosting your physical defense up with Coil. For those of you who don't know what Coil does, it boosts your it boosts your attack by 1 stage, your defense by 1 stage, and your accuracy by 1 stage also. So the Stone Edges are more likely to hit, which is always nice. So yeah, I think this set definitely has a chance to see some niche play. So getting into some pros and cons for Sandaconda, it's got good defense overall, good physical defense, and that's going to be pretty helpful for finding chances to use your utility moves. Speaking of which, it's got a useful utility move pool with things like Stealth Rocks and Glare being your best 2 options. Offensive presence, that's definitely nice. You can click decent base power moves with a decent base power attack stat, and so that way you're firing off some decent attacks and not giving up offensive pressure. A unique way to set Sand, I think it's noteworthy that I talked about the con where you're kind of giving initiative over to your opponent this one to set up Sand. On the plus side though, you have the chance to maybe buy yourself extra turns of Sand with the Pokemon that needs to switch in and use the Sand in the next turn. That's because when, for example, when Tyranitar switches in, the first turn of Sand is already burned by Tyranitar being on the field, whereas maybe with Sandaconda, you can get your Pokemon in a little quicker. But I think that's balanced out and maybe even made worse by the fact that you're tossing over leverage to when to activate your Sand to your opponent. So cons with this in general are going to be the poor speed stat is going to be a big con for Sandaconda. Bad special bulk, you're definitely exploitable on that special side. And I think the big one is no reliable recovery access. Rest plus Shed Skin is just not that good. I think the most notable Pokemon that has ever run that is probably something like Scrafty. And obviously Scrafty was not a high tier threat, so we're going to have to think about that when we're evaluating this Pokemon. So some team options I want you guys to think about when you're building with Sandaconda. I think the best partner for this thing is going to be bulky water types in general. Sandaconda can take on the electric types that bulky water types fear, and in return bulky water types can take on opposing water types that Sandaconda is afraid of, as well as ice types. Now keep in mind that you'll be weak to grass types in general, so you're going to want to find a way to support grass types, and what you might want to do is also pair it with a flying type in that case, where flying types obviously being weak to electric types, Sandaconda can switch into those, and in return Sandaconda can switch into rock moves as well, actually I should say, and the flying type in return can switch into those grass moves that both the water type move you might have on your team and Sandaconda fear. Setup sweepers are going to be good for Sandaconda because you will be able to get some chip damage with this thing pretty helpfully with Stealth Rocks, for example, or your Sand Spit ability. Those are things you're going to want to keep in mind. Now there are some big threats like I was talking about. Grass types are going to be a big problem for Sandaconda, so pairing with the flying type could be a very good option. That's also because ground types ground type attacks from Sandaconda will be resisted by that grass type, actually. Special attackers will also be a really good partner, a really big threat, I should say, for Sandaconda, and that's just because it has that very exploitable special defense stat. Finally, opposing bulky water types will be a problem for it because its attacks might not be able to do enough to get through a bulky water. They might be able to just recover off the damage. Something like Milotic, for example, is what comes to mind, although I don't know if Milotic is even allowed in this generation or not. So let me know what you guys thought of this video. I would love to hear what you guys think about Sandaconda and what you guys think about pairing it with in competitive play. And if you haven't already, be sure to go click that subscribe button, guys. It is always so appreciated, and this channel's growth would not be possible without everyone who decided to go ahead and click that button. So if you want to be the next person to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing in Pokemon Sword and Shield and competitive analysis videos, go ahead and click that button. Also, go ahead and click the Discord link down in the description box below to go ahead and join our competitive community of Pokemon players that we're trying to build, become a better group of Pokemon players as a whole as a result. Thank you guys for watching this video, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Krakenation out.